Marvel's What If number 9 hit store shelves and spinner racks in January of 1990, the same month that Cheers was the number one show and the first internet company catering to commercial users, PSINet and EUNet, began selling internet access in the United States and the Netherlands. What If is a comic series that tells stories from alternate timelines and realities. In those realities, major events from the world of Marvel occurred differently. Volume 2, Issue 9 showcases what would have happened if the X-Men died on their very first mission. Having saved the world from the living island of Krakoa, the newly formed X-Men are unable to escape in time and also perish as the island floats out of our atmosphere and into the cold depths of space. Only Professor Xavier and Beast are left to put the pieces back together. Xavier, now an angry and bitter man, is forced to face his fears when a new threat emerges that may put the entire world in danger thanks to Count Nefaria and his Anniemen. Can the newly formed team of mutants from around the world work together in time? Can the professor face his fears and help them? This issue was written by Roy Thomas. Thomas made a name for himself when he was named Stan Lee's first successor as editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics, but he's probably best known for introducing the pulp magazine hero Conan the Barbarian to American comics. Before becoming editor-in-chief at Marvel, Thomas had long writing roles with X-Men and the Avengers. He also wrote for DC's All-Star Squadron. This issue was penciled by Rich Buckler, who is best known for his work on Fantastic Four in the mid-70s and for creating the character Deathlock in Astonishing Tales number 25. Buckley drew virtually every major character at Marvel and DC, often as cover artist, including this cover. Buckler worked for Archie Comics in the mid-80s. When that publisher briefly revived its Red Circle Comics superhero line, Buckler returned to Marvel and briefly drew The Spectacular Spider-Man with writer Peter David, where they produced the storyline The Death of Jean DeWolf. He also served as editor for a short-lived line of comics by Solson Publications, where in 1987 he created Reagan's Raiders. Sam De La Rosa inked this issue as well as the cover. De La Rosa has had a long and varied career in Marvel, DC, Image, Disney, and Dark Horse Comics. Just prior to working on this issue, he worked on the first and second Predator comics for Dark Horse. Sam's work on Venom, Lethal Protector 1 through 6 is the main basis for the Venom movie, and Venom Let There Be Carnage was based on Maximum Carnage, Sam also worked on. Evelyn Stein was the colorist on this issue. In truth, I was unable to find much information on Evelyn. She was the colorist for a large number of titles, including Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, Silver Surfer, among others. Letterer Phil Felix is another enigmatic figure in the history of comics. The only information I could find was that Felix was a comic book letterer and occasional illustrator. He started working for DC Comics in the early 80s on titles like House of Mystery, World's Finest, Action Comics, Iraq, Detective Comics, and many others. He worked in the comic book industry for a number of publishers until the mid-2000s. This issue was edited by Craig Anderson. Anderson worked in support for Marvel in production from 1984 to 86, assistant and managing editor from 86 to 90, as well as an editor from 90 to 92 onward. He worked on titles such as Silver Surfer and Guardians of the Galaxy. Tom DeFalco was Marvel's editor-in-chief at the time. DeFalco became Marvel's 10th editor-in-chief in April of 1987 and served from 87 to 94, making him one of the longest-serving individuals to hold that post. Under DeFalco's guidance, Marvel entered a phase of expansion that provided an opportunity for new talent to enter the comic book industry and release a number of new titles with original characters. After clashing with the company's upper management, DeFalco resigned in 1994. So who is Count Nefaria and the Anniemen? Count Nefaria debuted in The Avengers number 13 in 1965, created by Stan Lee and Don Heck. Luchino Nefaria is a wealthy Italian aristocrat and traditionalist who also desires greater wealth and power, driving him to join the Magia criminal organization. He had run-ins with the Avengers and X-Men. X-Men Thunderbird was killed trying to stop Nefaria in 1975. The Anniemen were originally created to cause chaos in New York City to allow mayoral candidate Abner Jonas to win with a tough-on-crime mandate. They were normal humans with costumes that enhanced their abilities. Later on, Nefaria has Ape-Man, Birdman, Catman, Frogman, and their new female member, Dragonfly, be submitted to a process at the hands of Dr. Kenneth Sturdy that gives them superhuman powers and animalistic appearances. Did you know that on the tombstone seen on the cover of this issue, there's an unknown masked individual? This mysterious 12th X-Men appears just below Havoc and remains unidentified. Also, take a look at the corner box art for this issue. Rain Sinclair, aka Wolfsbane, is shown with white hair for no apparent reason. The address listed in the comic, 1407 Gray Malkin Lane in Salem Center, New York, on Google Maps, you can see an Xavier school with a photo of the castle used in the various X-Men movies. That castle is in reality Haley Castle in Colwood, Vancouver Island. The real location is inaccessible by Google Maps, and the closest I can find shows farmland. Moira McTaggart appears to be driving a red 1970s Dodge Challenger. That's pretty badass. Although this isn't the Earth 616 continuity, this appears to be the first time Beast has ever used Cerebro. This also appears to be the first time that Cerebro used powers of another mutant, in this case a deceased Nightcrawler, to teleport people across the planet. Most likely a device to move the plot forward, this ability doesn't appear to have ever occurred in the 616 continuity before or after this issue. The Cheyenne Mountain complex looks nothing like it is depicted in this issue, the main entrance being a tunnel that leads to a door built to withstand a 4 megaton nuclear blast. There are 3 of these bad boys weighing in at 19 tons each. As this issue reimagines a scenario already depicted 15 years earlier in X-Men 95, there are a couple of great callbacks to the original. However, it is an odd choice to change the look of the Harrier jet Nefaria uses to escape. In the original comic, it was a Harrier with a distinctive camo paint scheme, while in 1990, this version looks silver or white. And I do love the 2 humorous what-if scenarios seen at the end of the issue. What if Black Bolt talked in his sleep? And what if the Thing's body kept mutating? This one is pretty cool looking. By the way, the official name of this font is Magnetic Ink. It was developed in 1969 by James H. Moore. I came across this comic from my collection when I was selecting my next deep dive episode. I had fond memories of this issue, and I was eager to get into it. I guess my rose-colored glasses were on full tint as I was sadly disappointed by Roy Thomas writing in this issue. I find it stilted, dated, and generic. Yes, I understand Hank McCoy, aka Beast, can come off professorial and thesaurus-like when speaking, but phrases like, "so here, as the Pythagoreans say, goes nothing," is a bit much. And attempting to sound like a young teenager by explaining a telepathic message as some mental MTV is a bit, well, lame. I was generally disappointed by the storyline. There isn't much here at all. All the X-Men are dead. Xavier is depressed. There is a crisis. Beast finds new recruits, and the X-Men are back. The story was filled with so much exposition and dialogue that the action and plot were bogged down. Our new X-Men managed to save the day almost accidentally while fighting D-rate Anniemen. There is simply a lot of dialogue in this issue. Right from the first page, where we see the Watcher deliver a full monologue regarding the X-Men's original exploits on Krakoa. Rich Buckler and Sam De La Rosa's work is decent enough, although I'm not a fan of the white-eyed Beast. Though one of my favorite panels from this issue features Beast using Cerebro and fighting to maintain control. I found mint or near mint issues of this comic selling for as high as $79 on pricecharting.com and as low as $11.50 on mycomicshop.com. The original cover price was $1.25 or $1.75 here in Canada. 1989 and 90 were dominated by DC's Legends of the Dark Knight series, thanks to the popularity of the Tim Burton film and Todd McFarlane's bold new take on Spider-Man. There was a boom of comic publishers launching that year. New Century Comics, Disney Comics, Millennium Publications, MU Press, Tundra Publishing, Valiant Comics, Drawn and Quarterly all entered the marketplace. Print comics industry-wide, including bookstore, book clubs, and newsstand sales, excluding library sales, was about $200 to $300 million, or about $603 to $724 million today. This issue is curious for the lack of advertisements. There are only 3 full pages of ads, where I am typically used to about 11, 13, or even 18 pages of ads in a single issue. I've yet to find out why this issue has so few ads. If you know, please hit me up in the comments below. The ads I did see filled me with memories of being an 11-year-old. The Konami handheld games were precursors to Nintendo's Game Boy, but were vastly inferior. Extremely simple graphics on a static background. My cousin had one of these, and I was really jealous. Knowing who exactly the demographic was, the ad for Clearasil Double Clear offers dual textured pads to get rid of those nasty teenage pimples. Remember, comics were only for nerds back in the 1990s. NEC were promoting their TurboGrafx 16 on the back cover. The TurboGrafx 16 was a home video game console designed by Hudson Soft and sold by NEC Home Electronics. No comic shops were advertised in this issue, so I decided to find the closest shop located near Xavier's School in New York. That would be Newbury Comics, located at the Westchester Mall at 125 Westchester Avenue in White Plains, New York. Check them out if you can, or visit newburycomics.com. Thanks for checking out this video. If you want to see more, please hit like and subscribe. If you have suggestions for comics you want me to deep dive into, please leave a comment below. Please help and support real artists. AI is great for a lot of things, but not for creating art and replacing artists. Thank you.